He wakes up and looks at me, rolling over to his side to get a better view of my massive cock. He says, he groans in pain, and then says that he needs goat milk. I say, okay, well, Valdor gives me $20 to buy goat milk from the local grocery store. So I leave the apartment building and go to the grocery store, but they have no fucking goat milk. So I go back to the apartment and I look at Valdor, who's still in bed. Valdor, I say, there's no more goat milk in the grocery store. He looks at me. His face turns sallow, and he begins sweating profusely. Oh shit, he says. Without my goat milk, I'm gonna get kidney stones and cum. So, in order to help Valdor avoid embarrassing himself at work, I set off to Mongolia, the only place I know with goat milk. All time. All year round. So I take the first flight over to Mongolia, but we get held down into the Philippines because there's an international terrorist aboard. The security guards, they take me out of the plane, and I'm standing there, and they're patting me down. They look at me, and they're like, "Sir, why the fuck do you have an M82A1 Barrett sniper rifle, anti-material rifle in your pants?" And I look down at the barrel sticking out of my pants like a penis, and I then look at the security guard, and I say, "Fishing purposes." He smiles and lets me back on the plane, because everything's okay when it's for fishing. So I take the plane over to Mongolia and land in Beijing to have to take a break. I go to Tiananmen Square, and I worship the picture of Mao Zedong. Well, unfortunately, the spirit of communism possesses me, and I start chanting Muslim tones. So the guards at Tiananmen Square come over and they say, "Are you fucking speaking Muslim tones?" And so I'm like, "No, I love Lebanon. I would never speak any Muslim tones." Well, unfortunately, Lebanon is a Muslim country. So they put me in a concentration camp. So I'm in the concentration camp for 3 years. I served my time in the labor program in Iceland for a stupid fat fuck California. And then after I get out of the labor camp, I take the first plane from Beijing to Mongolia. So I land in Mongolia City, which obviously exists. And I walk to a nearby village. I'm the fastest fucking walker. I walk at Mach speeds. So I get to the village and I hit up one of the local farmers and I'm like, "Hey man, you have goat milk?" And he looks at me and he's like, "Sorry bud, I'm out of goat milk." So I'm like, well how can I help you get more goat milk? Well, he says that his goats are being held in a Chinese black site facility in Inner Mongolia. So I'm like, well, let's bust those goats out and get Valdor's goat milk so he doesn't piss out a kidney stone and cum at work. Well, okay, so the farmer and I go to the black site facility to rescue his 7 goats. And on the way there, my M82A1 Barrett gets confiscated by the Mongolian police because only in Mongolia is fishing not a real purpose for bearing a 50 caliber anti-material sniper rifle used to take down lightly armored vehicles. So I'm unarmed when I get to the black site, but I've got my massive cock. So I whip out my cock. Well, as soon as the guards see my cock, they walk over and they just have the urge to start sucking. So while I'm keeping the 10 middle-aged Chinese men busy sucking my cock, the farmer rescues his 7 goats from the black site facility. And when we get back, my cock is bleeding from all the blowjobs from middle-aged Chinese men working in a black site facility in Mongolia. So the farmer uses a special goat milk powder and he powders it on my cock, and it's instantly healed by the power of goat milk. But unfortunately, it used up all the goat milk that the goats had. So there was no more goat milk, and the farmer was like, oh shit, I'm a retard. I guess you'll have to wait 6 months for these goats to make milk again. Okay, well, how about I hasten that process? So I grab one of the goats by the hip, I swing out my cock, and I jam that into its asshole so hard that it screams and milk splurges out of its titties. And the farmer clucks and he's like, oh my god, you're a miracle worker. And I'm like, no, I just have a big cock. So I take the goat milk and I start flying back. But then the plane gets pulled down into China again. I'm like, oh god, this again. Well, it turns out that now I'm a wanted man because 8 middle-aged Chinese men guarding a black site facility suck my dick while we rescued the goats. And that's a crime, because you can't be gay in China. So I get arrested again, and I get put into prison. So I'm there for another 2 years. And at the end of the 2 years, I see one of the guards chugging down my 2-year-old unrefrigerated bottle of goat milk. And I scream. I'm so furious that I just howl like a fucking wolf. And every single person in the prison just instantly pisses their pants at the same time. All of them. And the piss floods the prison and short circuits all the electrical systems. And all the doors open. All the inmates are breaking out or drowning in my piss. And then I start to escape, and then one of the guards chases after me, but luckily there's a huge piss tsunami, so I splash some piss in his face to blind him. My piss is really acidic because I haven't drank water in several years, so it burns his eyes out, but it doesn't burn my ankles because of plot armor. And so I run out of the prison to see a massive piss tsunami because every single person in China is now pissing themselves because I scream so loud that it frightened them. The Yellow River has been flooded with piss, and all the rice fields are flooded with piss, and all the wildlife and aquatic life is fucking dead because they're drowning in my piss, and 1.2 billion Chinese people's piss. So I start making my way to the next plane out of Beijing, and so I get on the plane, and behind me there's a huge piss tsunami heading across the Atlantic Ocean, killing everything in its path. It's like the Great Molasses Flood of 1929, but piss. And so I jump out of the plane in order to save the world. I drink 1 billion tons of piss from the earth, cleansing it of the piss tsunami and saving the world. And then I instantly shit out 1 billion tons of shit because matter cannot be created or destroyed. And so there's just 1 billion tons of piss in the ocean. I mean poop in the ocean now. But that's beside the point because we don't care about the ocean's well-being anyway. So I get back to Los Angeles and I go to Valdor's apartment and he's having sex with Sea Monkey. And I'm like, here's your goat milk, which I managed to get out of the guard's stomach. Like, I made him regurgitate it into the bottle. And Valdor was like, thanks, but I've already pissed out a kidney stone and cummed my pants. Oh shit. And I drink the goat milk and then kill myself. The end.
What happened to Tom?
Well, Tom's